Welcome to the IslandStats.com football show, your weekly dose of all the action from Bermuda's top four leagues. We bring you in-depth coverage of the Premier and First Division, results, highlights, analysis, and exclusive interviews. We also keep you up to date with the latest news and developments from the Bermuda Football Association. Stay tuned for the IslandStats.com football show, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about the beautiful game in Bermuda. Now let's join the IslandStats.com football show team. Well, good afternoon and welcome to this edition of the Island Stats Football Show. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me, our co-hosts, Garrett Punchy Dill and Andrew Griffith. Both would be really excited today as the North Village Rams represented the Premier Division trophy at Bernard Park despite going down. Let me just run down the results that we have from this weekend. And we're going to start with the Bermuda under-17 women playing over in Mexico. They took on Costa Rica yesterday in their final match of the qualifying round for the Women's Under-17 World Cup. They went down 9-1 to Costa Rica. Then today in the Premier Division, it was North Village Rams 1, PHC Zebras 4, Devonshire Cougars 3, Wolves 3, Paget Lions 2, Devonshire Colts 1, St. George's Colts 8, Denny Town Hornets 2, Young Man Social Club 3, Hamilton Parish 4, and in the First Division it was Southampton Rangers 2, Boulevard Blazers 2. Well, let's actually start, gentlemen. Obviously, you know, the under-17 girls were in a tough draw to try and qualify in with Mexico, Haiti, and Costa Rica. They managed to only score 2 goals in the 3 games that they played. But the 2 goals that they scored, boy, if they were game winners, they'd be wonderful game winners. But, you know, it's just, I had an interview with the head coach, Gary Adams, talking about, you know, just wanting to make sure that the girls continue to progress through this round. Now, Punchy, obviously, we talk about the atmosphere at a higher level that we're trying to continually get at. But what in your view, what do you think? Both men and female, especially under 17s and under 20s, what do you think we need to do to kind of continue to get to that level so we can actually close the gap?
Yeah, it's sad that they my fear as soon as I saw that draw was like, wow, we're really in for that, because it's no way that, well, you're talking about those nations, those are footballing nations, and it's disappointing for the schools, but it's realistic. It's realistic of where we are at, where we really are. We need a league. We need a development league for young girls, but you know how popular football is now, and so. To be in a group with those guys, Haiti, Mexico, the host nation, and Costa Rica, that's a huge task. You know, the school is a reflection of just how the gap for us, and what we have to do is start thinking about the next generation already at that age, and our preparation, and really seriously about the women's game, because it's becoming a very, you know, women's football has grown tremendously.
Yeah.
And it's just you know, being in that group, you know, we knew there was going to be problems for us.
Yeah. Griff, I'm going to jump to you because I want to get your opinion, because you were once on the inside of the association. So obviously getting some insight of what needs to be done to be consistent at that level, having sat around that table and had those discussions, how do you think we can actually be consistent in all our age groups, you know, in getting across the first round to get to that second round of qualifying for a World Cup, regardless of what age it is, and then, you know, closing that gap?
So, Earl, I think I will be disrespectful to all the technical people that sit around the table at BFA. This is a very complex question. that I think is, I'll admit it, it's beyond me, but I'll give a personal opinion. FIFA is pushing a lot of the women's development, and it's good for the sport and football to grow it so that male and female players are enjoying it. But I think at the age level for international football, you see on the men's side, you'll have like under 15 competitions, under 17, under 20, under 23 to build it up. And the mindset is so that they have the experience, so that the national program is stronger when they get to full senior level. But I think realistically for Bermuda, maybe it should work the other way around, like what they had with a lot of the under 17s played in the under 20s, and they
Yeah.
got more experience when they came back into the under 17s. So maybe that's what it is. You get a talented crop of youngsters, you play them up, and they get more experience. So that realistically, like at the lower age levels are where we have a chance. Like at under 20, under 23, we're not going to be expecting to beat powerhouse nations that are trying to win the World Cup, and we don't even have a domestic league. So it's unrealistic. So to sum it up, I think to start, you need a thriving domestic league that produces players that will then play overseas and get more experience. But without that, I can't see any way where we could compete with countries that have their own thriving domestic leagues.
Sure. Well, we there's got to be a think tank somewhere along the line. I think the fact that we're getting these opportunities to play is a step in the right direction, but making sure that we do all the homework that we can do at home, Punchy, is ultimately the key.
Yeah, it's definitely key because sometimes you're asking, well, is the inexperience of the coaching staff? But I think I wouldn't say it's a combination of a both. I have to agree with Griffin in terms of let's be realistic. We don't have a flourishing development league for young girls. And so when you throw me in at the deep end against those top nations, it just ain't going to work. So again, I'm sure the association is putting the best foot forward. Should I say that?
Yeah.
And in terms of like having technical meetings, making decisions about what we're going to do with this group of young girls, and for the under 17 young men and the under 15s, it's definitely going to be, I think, better preparation, and it's going to be more money into it, and how to prepare it. Because if they're going to tournaments like that, you just can't get together for 2 weeks. It ain't going to work. It really is. Yeah, you got to be prepared longer than that, much longer than that. And do we have the resources to do that, where you can pull girls if they're playing over in the United States for colleges, and then we have a camp for a week. Can they get off from school? And the ones that are in England.
But I would say I spoke to a current BFA executive, Sharice Bean, and there are complexities involved in the women's game that we don't even know about. I'll give you an example. She said the FIFA have been doing studies for women's football because they're developing a correlation between the menstrual cycles and loss of blood with the blowing out of their knees. It's got some correlation. And I was like, wow, I'd have never thought of that. But they're looking into that to see how they can try to stop these like catastrophic injuries. And like that doesn't happen to men. So like we have no idea even what that problem involves.
Yeah. Well, maybe they need.
If I can add,
Yeah.
go ahead, Earl.
Maybe they need to add a study to why so many guys are pulling their hamstrings nowadays that need operation.
Yeah,
That's dehydration from drinking.
Yeah,
Never mind. I didn't say that.
You remember I told you guys that I've been away and what I learned in preparation for development, what it takes at the high level. And Griffith, again, what you say, the preparation, if they don't overlook nothing. Now, Sean Goodall, I remember a couple of years ago, was when he used to go for Manchester City, and they had him as a scout for Manchester City, and he was over in Africa and places like that looking for young talent. But there's so much complexity, like you said, Griff, in terms of developing young girls, because that's all. You're right. I didn't think about that neither. So we're gonna ways to go, fellas, and that even to think that we would. I like saying it would have been nice to have a group thing against the Bahamas, maybe against Barbados. We might have stood in for a little chance, but not at that group, not at that, not at no.
But that's
So
the level.
can I ask this question here? So is it naive to think that we have a right to beat these big countries, or arrogant?
I think it's a good question. Good question.
The people that talk about we should be beating these countries are not people that are involved. They just stand on the outside making noise. Because realistically, if you're on the inside and you understand what the challenges are to compete at that level, where okay, so we took on 3 countries that have been at this stage more than 5 times. This is our 3rd time getting at this stage at this age group. And if you look at the makeup of what you're talking about, and you mentioned it, Griff, we're on the younger end of the spectrum when it comes to that. You know what I mean? So a lot of people that make noise on the outside just make noise because they don't like football, or the fact that, and I'll say it, black people are playing a sport. Okay, and that is basically a lot of the problem that we have. Sports is divided in this country in that regard, and the fact that majority of the people that play the sport are black people, and a lot of people don't like that. So when they start talking about, oh, this sport gets funding, this sport gets funding, this sport doesn't get funding, this sport doesn't get funded, it's all down to that. So,
But it's also part of it. I think also is to do with the maturation of the sport. If you think of sport as a life cycle, where it is in its development, football has to be at the extreme end. There's billions of dollars involved in football.
right.
There aren't too many sports that have that, and the money draws in people. So if you have millions upon millions playing, it makes it more competitive. You have some other sports where there probably are only like a few 100,000 playing in the world, and they're in the Olympics. So it's different sports are at different stages of their maturation as a sport.
Yeah.
Yep. I we keep discussing these matters, and they have to be discussed. They have to be talked about and examined, because even the results for the under-17 tournament that we had is a reflection of ill preparation. And remember, a lot of those youngsters overseas playing, but at that level, then we have to study. Well, look at that level also against playing against Curacao, the result against Curacao, and especially against Canada. And so then you start asking the questions. Well, the people in charge, were they good enough for that? That were the people in charge of that national team, the under-17, were they the right selection? And so it's really something to be thinking about in terms of our preparation. What group? Let's go back to the under-15s, and I don't want to go into it a lot like that competed so well in the last tournament. But Sean Blanchard, he's been congratulated. He's done a great job, but a lot of those players play over school too, and overseas.
Yeah.
And I think he's done a great job with the way they played and how they played, how they went about it. So that's where we go. We're talking about then Blanchard, who coaches off at Somerset, who's to me has done a great job. Then we go down to the under-17s, who's coaching there. And you have to ask those questions. I think that's something that we have to discuss. We have to have a roundtable discussion about that, an honest discussion too, about the coaching staff, the technical staff, and the development. And let's see what we come out of that.
We've got Vance Brown coming in saying also we don't have a proper league. Most girls don't play enough football. And that was one of the questions I had put to the under-17 coach about the women. And, should they be playing at the same time as the men and just stretch the season out by playing multiple times against, if you could only have 8 teams, then you play each other 3 times. I mean, we've seen that, we just to make sure that they have the opportunity to play a little longer. Playing in the summer, yes, there's more girls available in the summer. But if you have an opportunity for young ladies to play in the winter, I think you could get maybe 5 or 6 teams, if not 8 teams, and play throughout the season. It's just they have to be playing more on a regular basis. You can't have the men playing 8 months and the women playing 4 months and expect the same thing, and that's another technical challenge for the association. But the opportunity to have to play a longer period of time is one of the options that has to be on the table.
So from
Right, right.
from my experience being involved with PFA, what it boils down to though is that you teams don't end up having enough players to make the league viable. And when they do get enough players, sometimes the best players end up flocking to one club, which is not saying that that club's wouldn't players. It just is a preference. So you have one team that dominates and beats up on all the other teams, and that's not good for development. So
Yeah.
when you try to even it out, and the players may not like it as much, and some of them lose interest, what are you left with? So it's trying to generate the numbers so that they can't have games. So I ask this: is it anything wrong with having, I don't know, the 15, 16-year-old females playing in a, I guess, under 13, under 12 league with the boys so that they get the competition and it's somehow kind of even? Is that viable?
Okay, that is an option, but another option is this, Griff. They play all summer. The women play at the BFA field, right? Fridays and Saturdays. Yes, same field, same field, same organization operate the field. What they gotta do is put all the girls in a draft, pick coaches, let them have a draft so they have it evens the playing field out. Take the club out of it. You see my point?
But what it's this? But it's the same with men. A lot of people gravitate to where they feel comfortable and with their friends. If you put me with like 8, 9 other people, I don't know. I might like it, I might not. I might lose interest or personalities come into it. I'm like, it's so it forcing them together like that through a draft. I get the point for development, but it may not always be suitable for some players.
Okay, yeah.
And you
It's,
know,
it's,
at,
it's
at that teenage, like at that age, people are very temperamental, so they don't always get along.
You know what, baby in them now because
Yeah.
did you pick the school you wanted to go to when you was young?
No, I did not.
Thank you. And you got along with people at the school, right? Because you had to, right?
Yes.
That's as simple. That's the way we came up.
well, I just kind of
You
you guys
seen
think it outside. I was thinking somebody just wrote me a little text and say, listen, what about this? What about thinking about this? Let's say if they had a futsal league until they got to the age when they were real young, like from 7 to maybe 12, a futsal league. And apparently what you're saying also, Earl, do they get to 14 to 15 years old? And then, smaller version of the game, but they still get development. And maybe they should try that.
Yeah.
That could work.
There's plenty of options on the table, and basically, I'm not saying that what I'm saying is the correct way or telling the BFA what to do. It's an option. That's something that they possibly have or have not thought about. That's on the table, and basically, you get all the brains, coaches, get some of the leading players in the room, and just come up with a way that can improve because a lot of times messages come down from FIFA or CONCACAF and whatever, and it's taken as gospel where it's not even thought about, oh, what about this? What about that? Because it's people in a boardroom having a conversation and making a decision as opposed to reality of it being on the field.
Yeah, I think, you guys. And that's also for the under 17 boys, under 15 boys. We have to put these type of leagues in place so that when they come back in the summertime, they're still playing. They're getting a little bit of playing time, and I think that's also very important to have a discussion about.
Yeah. Well, what we're gonna do, we're gonna take our first commercial break. When we come back, obviously, we're gonna talk about that match at Bernard Park where PHC defeated the league champions North Village Rams, who had wrapped up the league last week. We'll be right back.
putting down a weapon.
You seeing this?
You shouldn't have to sacrifice fresh quality groceries for convenience. With Drop It, you get the best of Lindo's delivered island-wide from Somerset to St. George's. It's simple. Shop online and we'll bring it to you. Spend less time shopping and more time for what matters most. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
Beneath the cloud blue sky, where the ocean meets the land, and the long tails fly in Bermuda. Our hearts belong to this beautiful island. As an island, we are strong, proudly Bermudian. In every single way, from the sunrise to the sunset, and every single day, for over 135 years. It's been clear, British Islands proudly Bermudian, bringing us near. Cause we are proudly Bermudian. Digicel is proudly Bermudian. Digicel is proudly Bermudian.
And welcome back. Well, at Bernard Park, I guess less than an hour ago, the North Village Rams were presented the Premier Division trophy for wrapping up the league, finishing on 37 points. They still had that game to play against PHC today. PHC, the defending champions, came away with a 4-1 victory. Why don't you give us your thoughts on, PHC got a quick start. North Village had an opportunity to get back into the game, been down 2-0, but had a penalty saved, and then PHC go right up and score a third one. Give us your thought on that quick start from PHC.
I don't think it was so much about a quick start for PHC. It was just what team did North Village send out there? But from what I heard, it's like Trey Mean was playing in goal. They said so.
Taryn was playing in goal.
Who?
Taryn was playing in goal.
Okay, and what's the name playing on the outfield?
Who?
DJ.
He came on as a late sub to play up front. It was all over the place. They just tried everything. A lot of players were rested. People played out of position. It was
Right.
I don't think the focus, the intent. Most of the players that were rested, older players, and they're waiting for. They have one game to play. I think at the end of the season, you always see these crazy results for the teams that have another game to go. If you don't have another game, you just can do whatever you would normally do. But I think this game is that's why we picked it this way, Punchy. We knew it had the potential to be something like this.
Yeah, I thought. This is my personal opinion. I thought, well, being you're gonna have so many guests and was known for the term game, the first opening of the field. I thought maybe let's start with our best team for 15 or 20 minutes, and they'll make the substitutions and rest. But I guess the coach might have been thinking, I don't even want no one injured, one of my best players. But I thought people showing up for a game like that, and I thought, with all the players, the older players, the players that played before, Gumbo Bean and Joe Trott was there. I just thought that maybe that decision could have been. I wasn't a big fan of that, but like you said, Griff, that's probably the decision made by the thought process.
But on the other side, you run the risk of you bring your goalkeeper on, your starting goalkeeper on the field, and run the risk of him getting injured as opposed to playing in goal, getting injured as well. But the chances of him getting injured on the field is a lot greater than getting injured in goal. To take that opportunity, I don't care if it was for 2 minutes. You're taking a big chance.
Yeah, I thought so. You're right, though. Yeah. Not a big fan of stuff like that. Not really a big fan of stuff like that.
He did score a beautiful goal, but it got ruled out for offside. He struck a humdinger.
He would know about all sides. He's used to being between the goal and the last man. See,
No, but he wasn't the player that was offside.
okay,
Well, again, it's my mindset is always about showing up, and even the last game like that, I would have just had to come up with a different plan. That's all. I would say, look, this is what I want to do because there's going to be quite a bit of people down here. Let's show some respect. Not that they didn't show no respect about how they played, but I just think that maybe it could have been a little different in terms of selection.
right.
That's not my decision, but I just thought that it could have been. That's how I feel about that.
Sure.
And don't forget they got a so also that goes down. That's documented. And I just thought that heading into next week's game, I just wanted a respectable show last year in the league. That's all.
Right.
That's what I would want. That's what I would want to have seen.
Right. Yeah. Well, Griff, you saw the game. What did you think of the overall performance of both teams?
It looked like a last game of the season. It was scrappy by both teams. Ball was turned over a lot. Players were trying bicycles from like 20 yards out, like crazy stuff. They were just it looked like a kick. It did not like a real league game. People were having fun. It wasn't. It lacked the intensity of a game that meant something.
Okay. All right. Well, I know one thing. Just up the road from there at Devonshire Recreation Club, Wolves were in the fight of their life to try and stay up, playing against Devonshire Cougars, and the first 45 minutes produced 6 goals, and twice Wolves found themselves in the lead. Devonshire Cougars scored early, but Wolves equalized, and then Wolves would score. Devonshire Cougars equalized. Wolves scored again, and with them, knowing what was going on at Police Field, where the team that they were looking to catch, Social Club, was struggling against Hamilton Parish at the same time. But 6 goals in that first 45 minutes. I know fans would have been sitting there waiting for the second half because obviously Wolves would have had to attack, try and come away with a victory to give themselves half a chance of staying up. But no goals in that second half. But looking at that, you have we'll look at this game and then compare it to what people can anticipate for next week. Maybe Devonshire Cougars done the same thing North Village done in the second half, or even for the game, and rested players. I haven't seen the team sheet, but to Wolves scored 3 times in the first half. Wolves have been struggling to score 2 goals in a game.
So I haven't seen the team sheet either, but from accounts that I got from other people that are at the park now that were at the game, it sounds like they did exactly what North Village did. Rested players and did things that they wouldn't normally do because they didn't need the points, and they're more concerned about the FA Cup than that game. So it seems to parallel exactly what happened at the North Village game.
Right.
Yeah, I do.
Let me ask you, because we're going to talk about Wolves. Now they go down. They came up last season. They go down this season. What needs to happen there at that club for them to be able to come back even stronger next season and try to get back into the Premier Division?
Yeah, I think there's certain things they're going to have to do some recruitment, first of all, especially having a good striker. Like, they have this following. I keep saying they have this following. And, they're not the players are not the type of guys that can go play for someone else. Except for the few, like I think the Sharif brothers might be looking at, might be a question for holding on to them next year. But basically, they're going to keep a lot of those players. Again, what we talked about this season is that the management of that whole group of people, and it's the management of what they want to do. And my thing would have been, try to make sure that you can stay up. Even just try to do well in the FA Cup, right? But make sure you manage to stay up in the league. First of all, for money, so of course, not that you're not going to make no money down in that division. But what's going to happen next year? Because I think they also remember they coexist with North Village, so that might be a little problem there also, holding on to the spot of where they play the home games.
Right.
But Wolves is again just organization, man. At the coaching, at coaching level, really, they need someone like the Dennis Brown who can actually, just really form a better what their intentions are, what they want to do. Especially when they get up to this league here, and you're seeing some results. I'm seeing them play some good football,
Right.
but still too many goals given up. And there's certain certain positions in their team that need better quality players.
Yeah.
Certain
Yeah.
positions they need better quality players. Yes, they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Well, with their result, they ended up finishing 10th because
Yeah.
about 2 minutes away at Police Field, the young man social club went down 4-3 to Hamilton Parish. Hamilton Parish picking up only their third win of the season to finish on 12 points, but they finished ahead of Wolves on goal difference. We talked about this game and the fact that obviously we knew Hamilton Parish had already been relegated. Social Club would have been worried, looking over their shoulder, trying to figure out what was going on down at Devonshire Rack with Wolves playing Devonshire Cougars. But are you surprised, Griff, that Parish were able to get over the line in this final game?
This game, I think, is another one that was an end of season, like, no contest, because I think the goal difference for any positions to change for relegation would have had to been in the double digits. And
No,
like,
it was only 7. It was only 7 after they lost. After the Social Club lost to Paget 4-1 midweek,
right.
it went down to 7.
And like, again, a team in the bottom making up 7 goals is possible. Is it likely?
You lose 4-0, I win 3-0. That's the 7 right there.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, Punchy?
I don't know. It's just they had a month decline, and it just with Social Club was guaranteed of a spot to stay.
Right.
Right. So I think I have to applaud them because again, not a whole lot of quality there, but they were able to just in certain games they won. And certain games we thought they was gonna lose, they take a draw. So it was a well calculated and move in terms of what they wanted to do to survive in the league. And I watched them play a lot of games this season. It was like about fight and determination. That's what a lot of that was with them. And
Right.
that goes to show you that it can happen. Would it happen with a team like Wolves that have better? I think overall they have more players to choose from, but just organization for Wolves. But Social Club done it. I'm very happy for them. Where they go from here is a question. They had to do some recruiting.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah.
they're definitely have to do some recruitment.
Yeah. Have to look in the transfer window come the summertime to see what they're able to pull within and how they can strengthen that squad to not have to fight that battle of looking at relegation
That's right.
next season again. Because obviously, you never want to be in that position every year, fighting to stay up, because eventually that string breaks. And what you want to do is make yourself comfortable as best you can. Let's go up to Southampton Oval, because obviously Paget were looking to finish the season strong, and so were Devonshire Colts. You had two teams that finishing, they were mid-table, but Paget Lions were able to come away with come from behind to win 2-1. Devonshire Colts scored early, but Paget would equalize late in the first half and then get a winner midway through the second half. Leading goal scorer Diaje Hart was the one who scored the winner. But obviously, it'll be a lot of satisfied people with Paget with how they managed to finish 4th in the league.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I just knew even if the last game Paget wouldn't show up, both them and Devonshire Colts, there was going to be no farce there in terms of because it's the last game. but they have an agenda there up at Paget, and they're doing more recruitment in the off season. But they have an agenda, and they said about it. You know, when you got Antoine Russell with the mentality that he has, it's no way you're just going to go up there and just play any type of way.
Right.
And that was also for Devonshire Colts.
Yeah.
But Paget is done wonderful. What, this is the third year up now? The third year? Yeah. And so fourth, and that's steady progress. That's steady progress. And you know what? They're in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, or the semifinals of the FA Cup, right?
Yeah.
So that's progress, or the quarterfinals against North Village when they lost. But I'm saying, to me, that's what we're talking about for teams like Wolves. They need that type of structure to sustain themselves, and they have numbers. So Paget has done a wonderful job of, you know, and they rebuilt that program in the last four years. Right. Look where they are. I hope the junior program comes back on board, and they are really what they want to do. And I think they're going to even be better next year.
Yeah. Griff, flip the coin, looking on the other side. Devonshire Colts in their last 3 games of the season ended up on the wrong side. What do you think needs to happen for Ray to turn this around to get a good start come next season?
But let's all be honest, sir. Like, we were surprised that, like, up until like 3-4 weeks ago, that mathematically Devonshire Colts still had a chance to win the league. So they were exceeding expectations as a promoted team to be fighting up that high. So now that they slid back, and realistically for a promoted team, your first year up is to try to stay up. And I think they have the structure and they will build on it. So I expect them to be right back there next year. And I think once they were mathematically out of it and couldn't do anything, perhaps they lost a little bit of the will and the fight, because all they were there fighting for was mid-table, and you want to finish strong. To say Paget want to finish, everybody, those teams in the middle are trying to finish strong. So I think as part of the maturation for teams, because there are those like 3 or 4 teams that go up, come down, go up, come down. So as part of the maturation is that 1 year you need to stay again. Then you're in a FA Cup semifinal or final, and then you're up near the top 3, and that's how you progress. So I think Paget and both Devonshire Colts are in that vein.
Sure.
Yeah, you know, Earl, if I can add to the Devonshire Colts dilemma, what we've seen the last 3 weeks. Okay, I saw him last week against the North Village, or a week before last week. Yeah. Right, but North had to win to guarantee them, the lead. Now, Devonshire Colts created some very good chances early on in the game, right? You were there, and I thought, wow, if they had a clinical finisher, right? Even though they're not playing well, but they had a clinical finisher, North Village would have had some trouble last week. So I'm seeing them playing those games like that, because then North Village went on to win 4-0. And then what happens with Devonshire Colts? They start to lose their way off a while. They open up when they were down 2-0, the game just opened up, and you kind of got the feeling that, well, it's 2-0, we're just going to play. But in those situations with teams like Devonshire Colts, they need better finishers. They create chances, but they don't finish them off. And so Paget is a little different story also, adding to that now defining finishers. And that's what Devonshire Colts will have to think about for next year. Where they were and why they were losing once it got onto the latter part of the stages of the league, what happened. And I'm sure Ray Jones will have a look at that if it's there next year, because, maybe it's time for him to move on and take a different position in the club, maybe.
He was sold it at one point in time. He was sold in the presidency and the coach. So I don't know what other positions he can take, but yeah.
So does that go to that Yajay Hart score today? Does that mean he's the golden boot winner?
Yes, he is. Yes.
Yes,
he won it by 3. Actually, we have I had an interview with him. We'll play a little later on, but let's finish off the Premier Division. Let's go St. George's, where 4 goals from Sinaj Mitchell and 4 from Blaze Hall got St. George's 8 goals against Dendy Town Hornets. Obviously, that's got to be a shocker for many. Punchy, Dendy Town. a few weeks ago, we were talking about them threatening to win the league, and that fell by the wayside.
Yeah, I think they still have. They still, that's the sad thing about what we witnessed at Dennytown too. Those little, you have Kyle and you have Drew Hayward there, who I think are very good coaches, but you look at what they walked into, the mindset there, and I think that plays well because what I heard today, for 20-something minutes, they took off the captain to two of the best players. For 20-something minutes, they were 4-0 down. They took them off. So, and then what happened a couple of weeks ago when 3 players got sent off?
Yes.
So the discipline record is not good in terms of creating championship. The discipline record with the players that I have doesn't seem to be very conducive for the coaching staff. And I had a discussion with one of the members, and they were discussing what happened out there at BA, the behavior of the players. So when you have the likes of Carl Lyman and Drew Hayward, right, who are good coach, I seen some stuff there. I seen them dominate games, but there's still something missing when you're rebuilding. When you come in, you have a different idea how the team should play, and then you're expecting more for some of your best players, which is one Tomiko Goda. I was wondering why he doesn't make the national program, but there's signs of maybe mentally some of those players at Dennytown have got to change, and if they're going to be successful again. And I see they're talking about the club and not having the field, but I understand that. But there's other things to what we've witnessed with Dennytown this year that it just doesn't. It's not right. You can see something still not right there with that team.
Yeah. Now, Griff, St. George's have been free scoring of late. Your thoughts on? They scored 5 against Parish last week. They scored 2 against Devonshire Colts the week before that. They got 2 against PHC, but lost 3-2. They've been free scoring of late. Your thoughts on St. George's?
Well, I think the last 2 games are anomalies because it's Parish who are all but relegated, and today against Dennytown, I think it's one of those farcical end of season games where you get all types of crazy results. So I think you can throw that one out the window. Like it's nice players scoring 4 goals, like it's good, but it's not indicative of the level of play of both of those teams because that didn't happen this season through. So I'll take it for what it is as an anomaly, and I think St. George's did well coming off the FA Cup win last year, and they had to change over in coaching, so it's solidifying where they are now. So I think they'll probably be back in the runnings next year if they don't lose players, and they should be just as strong next year.
Yeah. They ended up finishing 3rd. So the league standings was North Village on 37, PHC on 36, St. George's on 32, Paget Lions on 31, then the Devonshire Cougars on 28, Devonshire Colts on 27, Dennytown Hornets 26, Young Men's Social Club 14, Hamilton Parish 12, and Wolves 12. That's the standings, and that's how the teams finished in the Premier Division for the 24-25 season. As I did indicate, I did have a chat with Diaje Hart on Friday prior to this last game of the season. Let's get a bit of what he had to say in the interview on Friday. Into the final weekend of the season, you as the leading goal scorer, give us a sense of what has been a joy for you this season and the fact that you've been scoring so freely for Paget.
Just playing with guys who want to see me play good. We got a group of guys who got experience under the belt, so they help me a lot, as well as my coach who loves scoring goals. So he sees what I do in training. It's like, if you do this in training, you can actually do it in games. So that's what really been happening, just implementing what we do in training, transfer it over to games. Majority of them have been penalties, but obviously they're falling on attackers in the box. So just being able to step up and actually score them as well. So finding myself in the right positions at the right time.
And what has it done for your confidence, especially, the fact that you're now scoring a lot freely, and the fact that if you constantly take penalties, some people start talking and says, "Oh, he goes to the right or he goes to the left all the time," but you're confident enough to continue to take them.
Well, when I was in university, I took penalties as well, so it's natural for me. That's something that I like to do. I feel like I'm confident enough to step up to the plate and actually take on that role. So it's quite easy for me. I don't really get no pressure on it. So at the end of the day, it's just putting the ball in the back of the net.
Talking about university, why did you pick Johnson and Wales?
I wanted to be a chef at first, but then things didn't go as planned, and then I also went there to play sports as well. So that actually led out to be like that.
So let's talk a little bit about this season and the goals you scored. Which one stands out most in your mind? The best one thus far?
I would say the one against PAC, the one off in Wien. Because most of the time, everybody says, all right, Paget can't keep clean sheets, Paget can't do this. Everybody's always talking about Paget. So just being able to beat a team like PAC 1-0 and just hold out there 1-0, although it was a penalty, I felt like that was a good victory to start off our season because we actually went on a good bit unbeaten streak at that time as well after that victory.
You're right. A lot of people often talk about Paget. I guess we could look back at the days, of Paget. You get a good season and then you get a bad season. Oh, you guys have been consistent over the last few years. Would you say what Antoine has brought to the organization has helped you guys build confidence in one another?
Most definitely. He's definitely a champion in itself, so he definitely don't like to lose, and that's trickled down to us as well. So last season we finished 5th and unlucky to get some silverware as well. And then this season we're close to finishing higher than we finished last season. So each year is going to be improving, and we was unlucky to get to the FA Cup finals, and as well as unlucky to lose in the finals of the Dudley Eve.
Yeah, talk about those two, the finals of the Dudley Eve. Obviously, the entire community. We saw that the entire community of Paget come out when you guys got promoted, and you had a big party and all of that, and you had that kind of backing and following for the cup run as well. The community in itself, bringing that back together, because for a while Paget had a handful of supporters, but now the confidence that they have put in you guys and the results that you guys are getting has brought that community much tighter and much closer. You think?
Yes, most definitely. That community definitely plays a big part. Audrey community has definitely took a lot of losses, so I feel like Paget Lions is the way to actually relieve all of that type of stuff and show it on the field.
With obviously one game to play, if you end up as the leading goal scorer, what does that do for you personally, confidence wise, football wise? What does it do for you?
Personally, it's just a award, I guess. I'm more like a team player, so I would have rather more the FA Cup than anything. But at the end of the day, if I win it, then I win it. I'm gonna share it with my team because they helped me get it as well. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah. Well, let me just say congratulations. We look forward to you in the seasons to come and scoring more goals and having people chase you down as far as leading goal scorer. Because once you set that bar to where you've set it, going into this last weekend with a 2-goal gap, let's hope you can get another one or two on Sunday. And, you help Paget to finish as high as they can right now in 4th, and possibly 3rd place is there for you.
Yeah, most definitely. Definitely, especially as not a striker, so I don't get as much chances as all the other strikers, but I've been able to put chances for him. So we'll see what we could do in the last game, and hopefully we could come out as golden boot winner.
Yeah, that's DeAndre Hart, Punchy, and he did end up winning with a goal today. He did end up winning the Golden Boot. So a good season for him and a good season for Paget.
Yeah, I listening to that interview, wow, his respect and just his knowledge, and speaking about Antoine. But you when someone speaks like that and they, he's very clear, first of all, in terms of everything that you asked him. I'm hoping to see, because I watched him like last year and I was like, this guy's, there's something special about him. His first touch is good, The problem that he would have with Paget is supply.
Right.
Supply and demand, as they call it. And that's what he spoke about also. But he just sounds like it's what he wants to do for Paget, and that's a perfect example of growth and what Paget is doing has become what Paget has become.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a player like that speaking like that, and I don't think they're gonna be losing players. They're gonna be adding to their roster. So good for him. I don't know how old he is. It would be nice that if he can actually, has he been for the national program? Because I'm always thinking like that.
Right.
If you're scoring those type of goals, and and the national, you should be part of the national program. I hope he will be soon, because he definitely has talent. That's talent.
Yeah.
What I took from that interview, I think when they see us now, all the Paget fans should be giving us a pat on the back, because I think we helped to motivate the team and when we picked against them. So that's what I took from that interview.
Thank you, man. Yeah, because you guys got I get so. I'll tell you. I mean, boy Wackman one time I was doing that job over Zora, man. I was like, wait a minute, I'm here just to watch a game, you guys, and blah blah blah. You guys are always on Paget, but we're gonna show you. Yeah. Well, I was like, okay, you got to be modest. But no, truthfully speaking, you're right, you guys. They've come a long way. But you see, we keep talking about structure, and what if Antoine was down at Wolves, or what if Sergio Go went to Wolves? Sergio Go went to Wolves, a good fit. I think it would be a good fit when I start looking at coaches, and it's just that. But I'm glad, I'm happy that from what I've heard for that interview, that he's and I just hope that he just continues on with his growth, and he keeps talking about growing. Maybe in the summertime he can start doing a little sharper, put some weight on those legs. Maybe he gets knocked around a bit. He's a good ball handler, but he gets knocked around a bit. So he has to start thinking maybe some more gym work. Maybe you guys, swimming. Put some muscle on, and then definitely just continues to practice his craft.
Well, one thing for sure is in the right stable, because if anybody could teach you how to hold up the ball and shoot the ball using your body, is Antoine. So he's in the right stable, and over the summer, I guess he will work with him a little more and get him that much stronger.
Very impressed with that interview. Very impressed.
Just to add on to what Punchy said about his experience getting to work Wackmans, I have some of my I think the viewers, listeners are very passionate about the teams. So I have it so that some of my friends now ask me like, hey, do I need to be going to games with you? You get shouted at a lot from people talking about your picks on the radio show.
Yeah. Well, I just think, Griff, man, I don't know why about it, because I said that day up there was like, and that's with my good friend Jeremy Salam, and Jeremy's like, "Whoa, here we go." Like, okay, but it's and I say, but we have to live with it. But at least, I speak with my son a lot. And kudos to him for what he's helped achieve, what North Phillies has done. It's just having a conversation with these guys and with our show, so we can keep growing. And having more interviews helps a lot with these players. Because, like I said, I'm very impressed with his mannerism and his honesty too.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, we're going to look at that last First Division match between Boulevard and Southampton Rain, and then our picks. Griff will be smiling at the end of the show. We'll be right back.
Over the pink sands, beneath the cloud blue sky, where the ocean meets the land, and the long tails fly in Bermuda. Our hearts belong to this beautiful island. As an island, we are strong, proudly Bermudian. In every single way, from the sunrise to the sunset, and every single day, for over 135 years. It's been clear, it's silence, proudly Bermudian, bringing us near. We are proudly Bermudian. Digital is proudly Bermudian. Digital is proudly Bermudian.
Stay refreshed and on track with Viva Zero Calorie. With all the taste and none of the calories, Viva is your perfect companion for workouts, busy days, or just relaxing. Distributed by John Barrett and Sons and available at Lindo's, Viva Zero Calorie brings you the hydration you crave without compromise. Viva, your zero-calorie hydration solution. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Just putting down the weapons.
You seen this?
And welcome back. Well, up at Southampton Oval in the final First Division match, Southampton Rangers and the Boulevard Blazers drew 2-2. We all know that Boulevard had already been promoted along with Crossroads. They will be playing at 3 o'clock next season, but they ended up with a 2-2 draw with Southampton Rangers just to end the season. Let me ask you, Punchy, because it's really important. Last time Boulevard got promoted, they then brought in Jomar Wilkinson to coach, and things didn't go the way they wanted it to go. What do you think they need to do to look to strengthen that team come this time around, heading into the Premier Division?
Yeah. I saw him play. I seen him play a couple of games, but they definitely strengthened in the middle of the park at the center half position, the defensive central position, and then they're also in the midfield also too. That they need recruitment in the midfield area. With Boulevard in terms of the troubles that they have off the field, the Players Association with. But I'm not speaking for that. But I think they're gonna have. If I can gauge that, right, that loss today or that draw today, I do what Griffith's on. It's in last game, they secured a spot, but they still didn't lose. And I'm sure it didn't show up with just any team neither. But they're going to have to definitely also go about looking at certain positions, not a whole lot, but certain positions, identifying where they need positions and who's coaching their team next year also. And they have to do the same thing. They'll start rebuilding a program that was good for us when we go back into history, looking at what they had won before. They're going to have to do the same thing. It's a mindset now about organization at the club level if you can remain up. And I think Social Club have that, but Boulevard are going to need that. And that's what I'm saying about those games when you play away from home to St. George's on a Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right? Those games matter. And I think Paget have come, that's if I can make the relation, with Paget, what they've achieved when they're playing away from home a Saturday afternoon or Saturday night against PHC, they show up and that's why they are achieved what they are now, where they are in third place. Yeah. Boulevard, it's a mindset also, and coaching staff.
Yeah, give us your thoughts on Griff on a team like Boulevard and what, and also throw in Crossroads, because obviously both of them are going to have work to do over the summer to improve their ranks if they want to challenge anything in the Premier Division.
I think again this is one of those anomaly games because I saw a Rangers player at Bernard Park this afternoon. He said they barely scraped together 13 players for today. So Boulevard's taking one on-demand Rangers team and a promoted team. So you would expect them to do better, but maybe they're already checked out for next season as well. So it's one of those strange results at the end of the season. So if that's indicative of what's going to carry you on next year, then if they're going to be on the elevator up down again between Premier and First Division. So I think they will want to look back on what went wrong when they had Jomar as a coach, because Jomar's won everything in the Premier Division
Mhm.
and is a decent coach. So why didn't that work? What happened there? Because history, if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. So what did they do wrong then to try to stop it from happening again this time around?
Definitely. Well, let's jump into those picks. Obviously, the North Village, the first game this week was Paget and Social Club. We all took Paget to win, and Paget won that 4-1. And then there was the game between North Village and PHC. We all took. Well, no, we didn't. No, we didn't. Griff and I took PHC. Punchy took North Village, and it was PHC 4-1 winners. Devonshire Cougars and Wolves. We all took Devonshire Cougars. However, this game ended in a 3-3 draw. And then it was Paget versus Devonshire Colts. We all took Paget, and Paget won that 2-1. Social Club and Hamilton Parish. We all took Social Club, and it was Hamilton Parish who won 4-3. St. George's Colts and Dendy Town Hornets. We all took St. George's, and St. George's would win that 8-2. And then the Southampton Rangers Boulevard game. We all took Boulevard, and it was a 2-4. So at the end of the day, I got 4. Punchy got 3. Griff got 4. It takes the score. I move on to 42. I'm sorry, I move on to 46. Punchy moves on to 48. And Griff on to 52 for the second half of the season. So 52 out of over 100 games, Griff. You can smile and say you claim the picks title for the season.
I'd like to thank all the little people that made this possible, Punchy and Earl, because they were really bad, so they made me look good. Thank you, guys.
Now it's one game, it's one match remaining to end the season. Obviously, it's the FA Challenge Cup final between the North Village Rams and the Devonshire Cougars. I'll start with you, Griff. Give us your thoughts on this particular game and who you're picking.
I expect the fast-paced game, a lot of action, very intense. Also, I think it should be a good bit of goals. I'll take North Village 3-2.
Okay. Punchy?
Yeah, I had a discussion with the coaching staff, last couple of weeks ago about that game already and what's needed to be done, especially nullifying the two attackers, this Coddington and in the place center forward.
Brangman.
Yeah.
And if you can nullify that, I think you're in with a good chance. You have to be very, very organized against us too, because I watch when Norfolk was beaten by Devonshire Cougars out Iraq, but you have to nullify Coddington definitely, and their supply route to Shea Brangman. So I think in doing that, I think my nephew and my son would do the homework really well. And I think I'll give Norfolk the edge in this one too. I'll go with maybe, about maybe 4-2.
Okay.
4-2. I'll give Norfolk the edge in that.
Okay. I'm actually going to go the opposite way. I think of late, Devonshire Cougars have been scoring quite a few goals, and I think Kwame has got them playing with a lot of confidence. Today was one of those rare times where they've given up 3 goals, but they're still scoring 3 times, a game. North Village have been scoring maybe 2 goals a game. So, Griff, I'm going to go opposite of you and say 3-2 to Devonshire Cougars. I think one of the ball forces for Devonshire Cougars scored today, Elijah Darrow, who has been out due to work commitments, but has made his way back into the team over the last few weeks. And I think, we remember what he was able to do a few years ago for Devonshire Cougars when they won the FA coming off the bench. So I just think Devonshire Cougars right now are scoring a lot more freely than North Village, and I think they'll be able to get just over the line, 3-2 Devonshire Cougars.
And there you have it, Daventry Cougars fans. Earl has officially jinxed you. You're gonna lose now.
Oh boy. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Earl
Yeah.
takes a bet, Daventry
Well,
Cougars.
hey, is this game, could this game be worth 5 points?
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
no.
I know you say that.
On that
Because if
front,
it's
yeah.
worth 5, I win.
Yeah. It's gonna be. I think it's especially gonna be a good game. I think it will be some quality.
Fight. Yes.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
you know, with
sure.
this, yeah. The
Yes.
Robert, I hope the Robert's good, and that we get some good football up there, good entertainment. You know,
That's I don't doubt that. It's gonna be a good game.
Yeah, the two
I
teams
do believe so. Yeah,
should draw a good crowd to end the season. And
I
it
think
should
so.
be good. Yeah, very good. Yeah. All right, gentlemen, go enjoy the North Village celebration.
Yes, sir.
What's left of it.
I'll be right back into it.
Okay. All right. Enjoy the rest of your night, folks.
All right. Take care.